Swap heroes? The battle for the Halcyon Fold has begun. Mining has begun. Payout collected. gold payout collected. Immense gold payout collected.
All right, well, let's head into the draft for Game 2 of this series. Rising Lotus currently leading 1-0. Another Baron ban coming across. Teams do not want to deal with him this weekend.
Nope, they say no Baron for you. We did see Araki Zoro play a very successful heavy weapon power Baron earlier that turned out to be quite the performance, and Snow Avalanche returns with a Lyra ban, leaving Lance his first pick on the side of Rising Lotus.
It's interesting to see the first pick Lance coming out here. You do let Samuel through. I guess they're not as comfortable with that, or they feel that they can go ahead and counter this out. I mean, what's the approach if it gets picked up here?
I mean, I definitely think it's more of a, hey, we think that Snow Avalanche perhaps can rely on this hero to make a lot of plays. We can deny those plays with them. But giving up Samuel when Samuel is open as a first pick option is a really tough argument to win. I think Samuel is just so strong in this meta, so hopefully they probably know Samuel's going to get picked up, so they're going to have a strategy against him.
Do you feel like maybe they were saying, all right, picking Samuel with Adagio, who's also open, isn't that great because Samuel wants to be I mean, quite frequently we're seeing him in the lane right now as well as the jungle. Maybe they're thinking it would force Adagio into roam so Avalanche wouldn't pick it, and then they could pick Adagio for themselves.
I think that's a good theory. We've seen a lot of drafts play out that way recently.
Yeah, perhaps. But, I mean, you could also just easily have picked up the Adagio, ran him in lane, and then put Samuel in the jungle. But it's not as popular here in Europe, it seems. Like jungle Samuel was something we've only seen even a few people actually do successfully. But they grabbed the Fortress, which is also kind of an interesting pickup with Samuel. This is not someone who can peel for him. This is not someone who can protect him. And if you're running into Lance with Core Collapse and Camouflage Traps, right now Lotus has a draft set up to defend pretty heavily against this kind of aggression.
potentially no Adagio picked at all here, and a Fortress now on Avalanche as well. These are some interesting compositions coming across, and more so than the compositions themselves, it's been an interesting draft.
It actually feels good to not see Adagio picked or banned, because he was in that phase where it's like he's really not as powerful as he used to be. And
Thank you very much, AJ, Humanist, and Fuji. I like the fact that Humanist managed to pop to an optometrist in the little break we had and get himself some glasses. He looks pretty suave now on the analyst desk. Just about as suave as Rising Lotus do with the addition of Mr. K. Cool, absolutely dominating their first game. Can they carry that performance off into the second matchup?
Yeah, I think we're all wondering that right now, especially because Snow Avalanche, they've lost the first game, but they're taking those risks in the second game as well as Fortress. And part of me wonders if that Fortress was a preemptive pick into the Adagio that they thought Rising Lotus might pick up because of his bite, negating any kind of heal coming out from Adagio or any of coming out from the Cruel. It's interesting. And we don't see many Fortresses, and I think once it gets to the level 6, it could be a very, very powerful one, but until then, I feel like they should be trying to avoid these fights, and we're actually seeing that as Bastion and Kensic go home.
Yeah, Mr. K. Cool absolutely taking Snow Avalanche to school. He stole away the fronts, he stole away that back healer as well. No experience at all for Bastion or for Kensic. They're still both level 1. Whereas you look at Mr. K. Cool, he's half his way up towards level 3 already. He's such an amazing performance already on this Kestrel, and Kensic has to back away once again as Mr. K. Cool puts the hurt down. However, Bastion is coming in from the side and look to see what he can do. Kensic once again gets forced away. Just Man jumps in on towards Bastion again, and Rising Lotus just taking away all of Snow Avalanche's jungle here.
Now that's definitely what we should be seeing them doing. They're playing very well with the comp that they have, because Bastion on that Catherine, and let's be honest, Catherine does not have a strong early game when she's got that Stormguard and when she's got that stun. It's very easy just to focus her down. We see a lot of teams just choosing to take her down over the jungle. And you've got that Fortress as well. Yeah, he's got, well, he doesn't have any damage items so far. He's just got that, the Oak Heart. He's not going to be doing anything. They can't do anything in those team fights. But Waldemar, that's going to hurt.
Dodges out the core collapse really nicely. He's going to try and use the Drifting Dark to get himself away. Just Man not going to be able to chase, not that core lance, so doesn't have those empowered auto attacks. Will have to back away. Oh, I had a sneeze right in the middle of that sentence. We'll have to back away there. Rising Lotus, they're doing such a great job. We're already 1,000 gold ahead of Snow Avalanche here, and this is not the Avalanche that we saw in Summer Split. This is a totally different Avalanche, perhaps thawing away, climate change really affecting them as those carbon dioxide levels do rise in the atmosphere.
Well, this is also a very different Rising Lotus from summer season as well. Maybe the snow's just melting and they're rising up in the water. I have no idea how any of this works, but Rising Lotus are a completely different team. Yeah, they've got picked up new members. We've got Justman, we've got Mr. Keiko here, formerly of Mouse Sports. And I think what we all, for this season, when we saw Mouse Sports, I think a lot of us doubted how well they'll do. And they've really exceeded expectations so far. They've taken out Snow Avalanche already in one game. This is the second game of the whole series. And actually, they've already got a very dominant position already. Things are looking so very good for them. I'm just wondering if they can continue to press this advantage, because Snow Avalanche, they are the more experienced team here. And sometimes I think experience trumps skill.
Well, let's speak about how Rising Lotus now press this advantage, because they've done a great job of solidifying the early jungle pressure. They're stealing away treant after treant. What is their next goal? Do they look for the turret? Do they look for gold mine? Or do they just continually say, we'll take away your middle treant and your front camps and just let Kensic get those backs whenever he wants to go for the rotation?
I think it'll be good to try and start pushing your advantage very early now. They've already got the jungle advantage, and by taking in the turrets early, especially before Kensic reaches level 6, and solidify any lead that they have anymore, solidify that jungle dominance a lot more as well. They'll definitely have control of that. They can easily force Snow Avalanche to go back, because you want to push them down early. You want them to start retreating, because if they start retreating, Waldemar is going to be alright. Yeah, he's going to be alright. And Rising Lotus, I want to see them taking advantage of it, especially because you don't want Kensic getting to level 6. And when that attack of the pack comes out, you want to see Rising Lotus just focusing on taking those wolves in, and if they don't, then that's a really good fight for Snow Avalanche. And Mr. Keiko, he was so confident on that Kestrel there.
It's the strength of Kestrel into Catherine as well. You just pop that active camo, Catherine's not going to be able to get on you with that merciless pursuit. It's so easy for Mr. K. Cool just to escape, and I have to admit, his play thus far in the game has been pretty dirty, you know? Impossible for Snow Avalanche to deal with him after they got that early aggression, and now we're going to see Keanu starting to put some damage down on towards the turret. The Helio into Supernova combination is so powerful when you're trying to push turrets and when you're trying to get this sort of early advantage, because you get so much bonus damage on that turret from a single ability.
Yeah, and I've got to say, Mr. Kegel, he just stuns so many people down with his active camo there. And the thing is, with the CC coming out from all members of Rising Lotus, they're not the easiest. It takes skill to do it, and to coordinate these together requires a lot of synergy and coordination from the whole team. And actually, so far, they've done very well with that. I'm just wondering if they can keep up as we get into the late game there. You know, when you've got a Catherine and a Lance, it's very easy to chain those skills together. But when you have an active camo and a core collapse and an impale, those aren't the easiest ones to put together. But if you can get the first one, it's a lot easier to land the other two, especially the core collapse.
I think Rising Lotus are going to be so far ahead by the time we get to that late game. It doesn't really matter if they don't perfectly combine their combinations, you know. We do see a miss there with the core collapse. Mr. K. Cool will take some damage in response, but he's already got a Sorrow Blade. We're only 6 minutes in. He's sitting at double the farm of Kentisik. It's 51 to 26, so it's 52 to 26 now. So exactly double in favor of that Rising Lotus jungler. And Mr. K. Cool, well, it looks like he is back on the Halcyon Fold and back in the Evil 8.
Yeah, definitely. And I think what Snow Avalanche needs to do to try and come back from this even slightly is just to have Catherine and Lane. They've been doing this very well. Just make sure at least, you know, 2 members of Avalanche get money, so this way Bastion gets the money as the ambient gold, and allow Kentisik just try and get what he can. Maybe even the 3 out of the 6 camps is good enough. Sorry, 2 out of the 4 camps would be good enough, and just keep him slightly going on in the game there. He's got the Storm Guard, he's going for the Aftershock, and when he gets that Storm Guard and Aftershock build, it's going to be doing a lot of damage once he starts building the defense. And now that he's level 6, actually, this is a good time for them to start picking those fights, but it's all about the fights in the jungle again, because if he releases that attack of the pack, it's so easy for Rising Lotus just to retreat behind their turrets.
Okay, cool, lands a Glimmer and an auto onto Voldemar, who does dodge back from Justman, who is looking for the engage there. Rising Lotus now, the attack of the pack's going to come out. Kentisic's going to jump in. Good Githian wall. There's the fountain as well. Rising Lotus on the back foot in the fight, surprisingly, but Kentisik is all the way back at the Sanctuary. There's the Solar Storm as well, not going to connect. Justman a little bit over-aggressive here, needs to back away. 1 shot, 1 kill, not going to connect from the side. Voldemar can put a huge amount of hurt down with this Samuel, but Rising Lotus will be happy just to take the 1 kill and back themselves away.
Kentisik, what was it, like 2 hits and he was down? I just didn't, I can even see, I just registered how he died. I didn't see how the fight broke out because it happened so fast. And
it was 2 shots, 1 kill, I think.
2 shots, 1 kill, I see. And Snow Avalanche. So this is the kind of the problem with the Fortress as a jungler. He's very squishy, and he's being caught out an awful lot by the active camo or a core collapse. And you kind of want to be playing around the Blast Tremor coming from Bastion as well at this point, because Catherine late game, or even mid game onwards, going into that Kester, going to that Celeste, is going to be a key player. And I want to see her getting a little more cool now. She's got the kind of clockwork hourglass there already. Probably going to be building into a contraption or even that Storm Crown. And once she does, that's when we want to see these teams engage. You want to see them engaging into a Blast Tremor and then an attack of the pack. And hopefully at that point, the fights will be going a lot better for Snow Avalanche, because right now they're really struggling.
They definitely are. Huge level disparity in the jungle as well. Look at the damage on Voldemar. 621 from a single 1 shot, 1 kill from Mr. K. Cool. Kentisic's only level 10. Mr. K. Cool, Kentisic's only level 7, sorry. Mr. K. Cool is level 10. And I have to feel like Rising Lotus need to use their opportunity now. They're so far ahead. They can just siege this tower for days. Yes, Samuel has good anti-siege. Attack of the Pack's going to come out, but Githian Wall from Justman is perfect. Solar Storm is available here for Keanu. Going to see if he can land it onto Voldemar. Bastion did use the Blast Trem, and the Solar Storm has just been held onto here by Keanu. Landed a good core collapse. Another one onto Bastion. Voldemar dodges out from the Impale from Justman. Oblivion on Keanu means that he is asleep at the moment. Mr. K. Cool is not asleep. He's going to see if he can step forward and pressure on towards Snow Avalanche.
You know, one good thing is that Bastion hasn't used his
no! Doesn't matter what Bastion's used because he's dead! Voldemar just about escaping. Do get the counter kill on towards Justman, who went a little bit too aggressive. Mr. K. Cool gets jumped on by Kentisik. Core collapse will land. Mr. K. Cool just needs a couple of autos and a glimmer to take down the wolf. And Mr. K Cool, playing Kestrel the Hunter, takes down his first prey of the game.
A foolish aggression there from Kentasik, and I think it's a fortress. You shouldn't be going in 1v2, no matter how close you are to the turrets. And we saw how it was... I think the moment we saw him jump in, we kind of just went, oh no, this is not a good idea, Kentasik. And yeah, I think when he got the core collapse, I think he kind of realized it too as well. I think, especially as a fortress, you want to be going in with a Cath and get that speed boost so you can really surprise him and get the chain stun after that, but not on your own, and especially not 1v2 with such a level difference there.
A huge level disparity, and 4,000 gold as well ahead here for Rising Lotus. This new look lineup working out incredibly well for them. Snow Avalanche trying to get back towards their turret will just have to go the long way round because Just Man actually steps back from Voldemort, does land the root. Doesn't look like Keanu is close enough to follow up on that. Mr. Keiko will get spotted out with the flare. Attack of the Pack's been used, but Kentasik and Bastion not able to chase down with the Wolves.
I think that Attack of the Pack was used more to kind of keep them away rather than any kind of aggressive force, but it's always one of the main tools in Avalanche's aggressive kit. And now that it's gone, you know, there's a long cooldown for it. Watermore and Bastion didn't get much damage onto the turret. They may have pushed the minions back, but they're not getting anything right now. But they have narrowed the goal difference down slightly. But Kentasik, he's still half the farm of Mr. Keiko, and a 44 to Mr. Keiko's 81. And Bastion, you're gonna get caught.
Yeah, I mean, Bastion should be able to get away from this one. The risk is Voldemar's in an okay position. You know, he's sitting on 110. Farm is yet to die. He's on Samuel, who clears waves so quickly. Keanu is the target here. Githyan Wall comes out the blast tremor as well. Keanu's going to go so low and will get taken out by Bastion off towards the backline. Mr. K Cool in the Oblivion will block it out, but he'll fall as well. And Rising Lotus get absolutely turned around here. Snow Avalanche worked out where the cracks were in Rising Lotus's armor and are able to take the ace for themselves. They take the gold mine as well, and they should be able to take a lot of damage on this turret.
Oh, this is feeling a lot more like the Snow Avalanche that we know and love. And that was a much better fight for them. They may have used the Attack of the Pack earlier, but it didn't matter for them. They managed to push them into a narrow channel and have Keanu as that Celeste into melee range, and it was made it very easy for them to land the Oblivion on them and catch them out, because we don't have any blocks right now on Keanu. He couldn't do anything about it. Just Man does have the Crucible, but you need to be able to block either the Blast Tremor and Oblivion. And I think this is kind of when the strength of Snow Avalanche's comp comes into place. Which one do you block? If you block one, you're going to get hit by the other, and that's a very difficult choice to make in those team fights.
Definitely is. That's the comeback mechanic there for Snow Avalanche, and the fact that they can just clear the wave so quickly with Voldemar as well makes it almost impossible for Rising Lotus actually to siege it as they would like. Keanu's not strong enough yet. He hasn't got that power that he needs behind him. He's got Frostburn, Broken Myth, which is all right. Attack the Pack, Mr. K Cool does try and get away. Good stun, but the Attack of the Pack's just going to kill him off. Bastion as well with a Storm Guard melting through Mr. K Cool, and now it's up to Keanu and Just Man to try and survive, but they have nothing against Snow Avalanche, who've come straight back into this game. Rising Lotus looked absolutely dominant, and Blast Tremor from Bastion just slams down on the face of Lance to absolutely smash him into the ground.
This is just a completely different Avalanche team that we're just seeing. It just turned so fast for them. And the Attack of the Pack, this is kind of when we see when it starts to come out very, very strongly. You know, they're having, because he's going for the main jungle carry, those wolves do a lot of damage, and they have to be taken care of before Rising Lotus start prioritizing taking down Snow Avalanche. And it takes so long. They're already very in an aggressive position. They're very far forward. It's so easy for them to turn onto Rising Lotus. And it's because the wolves slow as well. They're in a very difficult position, but Kentasik, he's going to get stunned by that core collapse.
Is able just to run away there. Mr. K Cool coming in from the side. Voldemar takes a lot of pain. Rising Lotus needs something out of this. There is the Solar Storm. Voldemar uses the reflex to block it. Only got hit by one of the storm particles. Oblivion comes out, but a good impale onto Bastion. They're going to get their Helios down. Snow Avalanche actually looking to try and turn the fight around. Kentasik walked straight into a Supernova and has to just run away. Needs to withdraw from the fight right now. It's only a slight gold lead for Snow Avalanche, but Rising Lotus needs to take everything they can out of this push.
And that was actually a really nice use of Attack of the Pack there by Kentasik, just because it forced him to go back, stop chasing, because if he hadn't done that, Rising Lotus would have kept pursuing Snow Avalanche, and they probably could have turned that into an ace, because I think Avalanche, they were in the jungle of Rising Lotus for a little bit too long, and we saw that Rising Lotus started turning onto them, took a lot of damage there, returned a lot of damage onto Avalanche. That was a good mechanism, so you can see that the Attack of the Pack can be used offensively as well as defensively, and that was a good instance of it. And the cooldown is just coming back now.
Can Rising Lotus get themselves into a position where they win this game? Because at the moment, it's really Snow Avalanche winning out the fights, and then Rising Lotus picking up the pieces afterwards. Once again, we see the engage. Voldemar and Kensik take a bit of pain. The attack of the pack's been used. Mr. K. Cool needs to try and get himself away from this. Bastion's going to be able to chase down onto Justman, stuns him up. And it's another kill for Bastion. That's Stormguard doing a huge amount of work for him. He's got the most kills in the game. 4 and 1 on that Catherine roam.
Well, did you see that cheeky blast tremor kill there? And Avalanche, they're going to get the Kraken now. You know, Slex could probably steal this actually with that solar storm coming through, but I don't see very much
one
chance.
kill as well. Like, if they time
yeah,
this
that's
perfectly.
true. Global ults everywhere.
Snow Avalanche, they've just started to block it. There we are. Bastion and Kensik standing on the right side. They're not even going to go for it. They will give up the Kraken. Double Aegis just finished on the side of Rising Lotus, so they have themselves a little bit of shield to try and face into Voldemar. But is it too little too late? Because he's sitting on a Broken Myth and Eve and a Shatterglass now.
Yeah, he's got a lot of damage now, and they're really struggling to deal with it. The Drifting Dark is something you really don't want to be in anymore. At the start, maybe you could have just stood in it and just really easily just poked Voldemar down with the Celeste and with the Kestrel, who have incredible potential to do that with the poking there, with the Glimmer shots, with the Supernovas and Helios. But now that Snow Avalanche, they're beginning to get into their late game comfort zone, and they're really taking advantage of that now. We see that with the Kraken. There goes Attack of the Pack.
Keanu is the one caught out. Good stun with the active camo. Mr. K. Cool needs to try and get those autos down. Keanu chased all the way back to Sanctuary. Now Mr. K. Cool trying to take down the Wolves before the Wolves prey on his teammates. Just Man looking for the re-engage. Mr. K. Cool there as well. Rising Lotus need to defend against this Kraken. It's already on their first crystal turret. Voldemar dodges out the Impale. Snow Avalanche started the ball rolling with that ace earlier on. Keanu takes a huge amount of pain from Voldemar. Stun onto Bastion, but he's not really the target you want. And all this time, Kensik's not even really in the fight, just waiting for the attack of the pack to come back up to chase down at Mr. K. Cool. And that's exactly what it's going to do. Keanu's going to fall as well. Just gets sniped there by Voldemar on the Sanctuary. Justman has no way away. Snow Avalanche will take another ace for themselves. And after we saw Mr. K. Cool pick up 3 early kills in the game, he gets nothing more. And Rising Lotus get nothing more throughout the rest of the matchup. It's 1 and 1 between Rising Lotus and Snow Avalanche.
That was... The Jungle Fortress worked really well. At the start, it really didn't, just because aggressive. You would just release them and they'd be forced to back off. And the Wolves do a lot of damage there, and it was so easy for Snow Avalanche to take advantage of that with the Catherine, with the Blast Tremor, and Catherine, in as a late game Catherine, into that Celeste and Catherine.
Fan coming out of Avalanche is Taka, with Rising Lotus quickly getting rid of the Baron.
They had to have seen Langley Lang show up in chat, and they were like, we'll ban the Taka just to smite him.
Just realized I got so sidetracked in that analysis section, I forgot to mention the point with the smiley face next to it on my card, which is that Frostburn first came across that game for Rising Lotus.
Didn't take the victory.
No, I did not.
One more notch to put on your belt.
I'm enjoying it. Every
Just
single
your
one I
basic
do with
premium
relish.
economy arguments over here,
I
Jackson.
hope your Frostburn belt is freezing cold around your waistline.
Samuel, first pick, boys. We are in the draft here.
Waldemar
Let's keep
gets
it
it again.
professional. Waldemar's going to get it again, and he looked very, very strong in the Samuel. And we talked about that draft being weird. We don't get into it too much, but I thought it was actually pretty cool to see the chase potential with the Fortress coming out with a Samuel. It was very hard for that team to run away as the moment things were bad for them.
I definitely don't mind the Fortress with the Samuel. I think the Catherine pick was purely just because they say that, like, you know, this should counter Kestrel and Celeste pretty well. So we'll have to see if maybe they go down a similar path, since both of those options will be available to them. Rising Lotus does pick up the Lance and the Lyra, which is a little different than their last pick. They did prioritize the Lance first pick in side A. They do the same thing on side B this game.
I'm not a big fan of Lance with the Lyra. They're both incredibly strong, but personally, I feel like Lance, if he's in the core position in the jungle, you're getting more benefit out of like an Arden per se, or your Catherine even, but Lyra definitely incredibly strong.
So what you're saying is the two great tastes that don't taste great together.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
Oh, well, it is Kestrel coming through on the side of Avalanche, which is great into the likes of Lance once you finally spin up into the mid and late game, and they're going to finalize that draft with a Catherine. So a lot to think about on the side of Rising Lotus if Justman continues to be in that roam position in terms of blocking her ultimate, and also doing a little bit of body blocking against the insane poke that's going to be these Glimmer shots and Malice and Verdicts coming out of the side of Avalanche.
I don't know if Sky is the best pick here, in my opinion. I feel like if you get silenced or stunned up by the Catherine, it's challenging. Plus, chasing into Waldemar and Bastion could be difficult. You know, they can poke you from out of an interesting one. Who can make it to day 2, Snow Avalanche or Rising Lotus? Let's find out with your shoutcasters yet again, Sona and Jingyi.
Thank you very much, AJ, Humanist, and Fuji on the desk. Some great analysis from you guys, and I totally agree. A lot of early aggression needs to come out here from Rising Lotus if they're going to be able to win out this game, but even if they play with that early aggression, it's about that decision-making as well, because they had such an early lead in the last matchup and just weren't able to actually capitalize out of it at all. Already some damage down onto Kentasik. Imperial Sigil comes down, but a good stun by Bastion to stop Mr. K Cool's advances, and Rising Lotus have to just pull back out of that fight.
Yes, and right now they need to be taking control of the jungle, so they may have pushed him back, but we're not seeing them actually going into the side of Avalanche, and that's something I want to see them doing, just taking control very, very early on, because as a Lance and a Lyra in the jungle, if you land those impales, and even if you take a little bit of damage, all Justman has to do is just heal you back up. And it's disappointing to see them just winning, I would say, or successfully forcing Snow Avalanche back away from the jungle and just not taking advantage of that. They're just going to go back to farming their own sides. And it's something I really wish they would do, because I think it would help them a lot last time, because last time they did that and I feel like they didn't push it enough this time.
I totally agree with you. I think Rising Lotus have really strong early game, and they play really well in the micro decisions. Like Mr. K Cool, the first 5 minutes of that second game of this best of 3 was superb from him. You know, he was very good, very stutter-steppery, knew when to use his glimmer shots, and knew when to actually go for the all-out aggression. But their macro decision-making, when they're trying to deny the enemy, is weak and is a little bit poor. And you see that a lot when you have these new teams, or teams without that greater degree of synergy, because you need someone who's there dedicated to shot calling, and then you need the rest of the team to understand what they can do without the shot call being made as well. It's something you see in Team Secret a lot. So Palmer will go aggressive, and you can tell Kavalifar knows the general game plan, but Palmatoro will be making his own macro decisions, and Kavalifar will know the decisions that Palmatoro is going to make. So I feel at the moment, Mouse Sports are making macro decisions as a team, but they're not making their own individual ones as effectively as they could be.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you there. And something that I think they could also be doing is just having Keanu on that Sky rotating a lot more in the early game down to the jungle, just to try and counteract Bastion on that Sky. Because especially Keanu, he's going that Crystal Sky. Crystal Sky is super effective into that Catherine. And just the way it works is the forward barrage is dealing lots of low damage per second, so it slips under the Stormguard banner. We're not going to see any of it reflecting. And it's so perfect for just chunking that Catherine down in the front line. And especially because she's only a really tanky hero that's going to be on the side of Snow Avalanches. If she takes a lot of damage from that forward barrage, she's going to have to step aside, and that means that what that means is Waldemar and Kentasik, they're going to be a little more vulnerable without their front line there. And just having Kiana going down to the jungle a little bit more often, that's going to be super effective just to try and stop them from pushing any advantage.
But this is something like I like this play by Rising Lotus. They're trying to put a bit more pressure in the lane, trying to get Voldemort down a little bit, but it's so difficult to do into a Kestrel because she has that active camo. She can just dodge away. She can get away from them really, really easily. And so now we see Rising Lotus having to back away into their jungle once again. They don't really get anything out of their 3-man push. And it allows Kentasik and Bastion a full jungle rotation without really having to worry where Rising Lotus might be.
Yeah, that's what I mean. They should be taking it to the jungle rather than focusing the lane. And actually, oh, hang on. Justman, are you going to be a little bit out of position there?
Good fight bulwark by him. Keanu is off towards the side. Mr. Keiko will knock Snow Avalanche back, but as much as Justman was slightly caught out there, I really feel Rising Lotus could have capitalized on it. You know, the Merciless Pursuit was used. Keanu was in a good position to flank, get that lock-on down and then just forward barrage into the faces, or into the backs, I guess, of Snow Avalanche and put the pressure down. But Rising Lotus just not making those proactive decisions. They play incredibly reactively and allow Snow Avalanche to dictate the pace of these games.
Definitely agree with you there. And so going back to that point in the first team fight in the jungle, not even a team fight, but they're able to successfully push them back. They haven't been able, and what they should have done is gone to the jungle of Snow Avalanche. They haven't done that, and by not doing that, what they've allowed Snow Avalanche to do is just place a really nice line of vision, or even 2 lines of vision there down the side of the jungle. So they're not going to go into the jungle anymore. And I think, I'm not going to say it all comes down to not pushing it, but it definitely does help, because every little count, especially in the early game, if you can snowball any lead, and maintain it, then that's fantastic. But by not doing that, they're kind of just resetting everything back to zero. And so both teams have got equal positions. And Fuji said this at the desk right before he handed it over was Waldemar in that Kestrel and Kentisek on that Samuel, they do so well in the late game. Whereas maybe it's not so much for Rising Lotus. They're not going to, yeah, they do scale well, but they just don't scale as well. And that's going to be a key problem once we get into the late game here.
Especially since we've seen the late game decision making from Rising Lotus perhaps is not on par with Snow Avalanche's ability to play proactively. I know I keep using the word proactive, but I feel it's incredibly important that teams at this level understand that you can't just be waiting for the enemy team to do something and then working out how you want to play around that. You need to have a game plan in mind. You need to know exactly what you want to do and when you want to do it before you get into the game. And then you need to be able to change that game plan depending on how the game is going. I don't feel like Rising Lotus do that. I feel like they come in and say, okay, well, we've got a composition. And then as soon as that, like, whatever their plan originally was goes out of the window, they say, okay, well, we'll just wait for the other team to make a mistake. You can't rely on mistakes. Great impale there, though, by Mr. K. Cool on towards Kentisek, and Voldemar will force them back. But again, they're not able to get anything out of it. They just force them away. They might be able to push up this turret a little bit, but their minion wave is absolutely miles away, so I don't even think they're going to get that.
Yeah, they're really not. And Kentisek on that Samo, he's got that life, he's got that healing ability every 6 seconds there. And with that potion, he's almost back to full health. It's like nothing ever happened. And
One shot, one kill. Oh, Bastion was trying to chase him down as well, had that merciless pursuit locked in, but wasn't able to get close enough to the Lyra to take him down. However, as they said on the analyst desk, and as you've said, Jinyi, Rising Lotus needed to get ahead in the early game. Mr. K. Cool is going to get stunned up in the middle of a combat roll, so we'll be able to roll away. The question is, are the rest of Rising Lotus actually going to do anything about this? They're trying to get around it. Mr. K. Cool rolls away again, but he's not going to be able to get away from any of Snow Avalanche. And you feel, well, I feel like if Mr. K. Cool had turned there and just tried to impale back onto Kentisek and Voldemar, it might have given Just Man and Keanu a chance to actually engage the fight.
Yeah, potentially just might have been, and this is the synergy we're waiting for. And right now, I think, especially after losing the last game, so the first game we played, we didn't see it, but it was a really strong performance by Rising Lotus. I think the score was like 19-1 or 20-1, I can't quite remember, but either way it was a very, very easy win, not easy one, but very dominant win by Rising Lotus. In the last game, it certainly looked like that, it was going to look like that again at the start. But then it didn't turn out that way, and I'm wondering if that loss has maybe changed the mentality of them. Maybe they're not playing as aggressively as they were in the first and second game, because that is something that they definitely did do in the second game, but I think with less experienced teams, you definitely do get this kind of more passiveness and less proactivity, as you say.
It's a lack of confidence in your own decision-making to some degree. Like, I can understand being a little bit more passive in the final game over best of 3 because you want to make sure that you're not going to get knocked out, you know? Everyone wants to get to semis, everyone wants to play up in those semi-final matches and the final matches tomorrow, but you have to have confidence in the way your team is built and the way you're meant to play. And if you build a team around playing the early game and then don't play the early game, you know, you played yourself. You're never going to win. There's no point doing it. It's like playing, I know, Koshka, Lyra, and then something else like Ringo, and not going for a mid-game spike. It makes no sense whatsoever.
Oh, what an impale there. Mar.
It was a great impale, and Forward Barrage will come out as well. They do get the fountain down to keep Voldemar alive, but that's what they need to be doing that more. They need to be trying to force these fights a little bit more, just to try and push Snow Avalanche onto that back foot.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely still a chance for them, especially, you know, we can see how much damage, but hang on, Keanu!
It's just melted away, and Snow Avalanche, this Samuel pick, is doing so much work for them at the moment. Bastion as well on at this Catherine, really showing us how to play that Roma. We don't see we see some Catherine, but we don't see her as much as, say, Lance or Finn or Arden, and really Snow Avalanche showing us that she is a tier A support.
Yeah, she definitely is. Just Rising Lotus there. I think they were being a little bit too confident there going into V3. And, well, actually, Snow Avalanche, they're all going to go back home. So we've kind of been going on about how Rising Lotus, they haven't been pushing the early game. They didn't take advantage of whatever early game advantage they had. I mean, it's still not the end of the game, but it's certainly going to make things a lot more difficult because we're beginning to see Kentisek on that Savage is really beginning to make a hit now. He's doing so much damage with his Drifting Dark and his Malice and Verdicts. We've not seen many Oblivions yet. But the thing is, if Mr. Keiko is trying to land those impales onto either Kentisek or Waldemar, he's putting himself very out of position, very vulnerable position. And look right now, that's a really good example of it. Mr. Keiko half health now after that.
always the risk when you play Lance. And Kentisik, he's going to be building up towards Eve next, and I think as soon as he gets that Eve, there's no way really that Rising Lotus kill him, especially if they're not connecting with these Impales. They just don't have the power that they need to melt through a Samuel who's got Corrupted Genius, who's got Malice and Verdict, who's got Drifting Dark, who's got the Eve as well for all of that extra lifesteal off the Crystal lifesteal, I think it's called, isn't it? It's just so difficult to actually do anything into him, especially as well when he's got that Catherine there to protect him.
Yeah, it'd be so very difficult. I completely agree with you, everything. And I think the only hope right now, Rising Lotus, is if they manage to get a double, even triple impale, followed up by a death from above from Sky, because the crystal ratio on the Sky is just absolutely insane for the death from above. But it's difficult to do because they're all moving about a lot, and especially from range, they're all going to be clustered together as well. And it's going to be so difficult for Rising Lotus now. So difficult.
It definitely is. Great Impale once again, but Voldemort just pops into the active camo, and even though they're ahead, even though they managed to catch him out in a 1v3, he just walks away underneath the turret. Now Kentisik joins the fray. One shot, one kill. Will connect on towards Just Man. Kentisik needs to get that Corrupted Genius off to get himself some energy back, but now very happy just to disengage the fight and allow Rising Lotus to try and re-engage. Snow Avalanche's team is so great on the re-engage. Like, Rising Lotus are all about trying to get that initial burst, initial impale into the forward barrage, into the death from above, but Snow Avalanche are happy just to wait out these fights and do sustained damage across them.
One thing that just...
Keanu just surviving with the fountain. Pops a forward barrage as well, but here comes Voldemort. Are they just going to go for Mr. K Cool? He can combat roll his way away, and that turret's still up as well. Snow Avalanche haven't been able to push that one down at all yet, but they are looking for the fight. Just Man the target. He's going to take a couple of glimmers. Good Arcane Passage will get him away. Bastion follows up the passage as well, but Snow Avalanche happy enough not to take that kill for now. Keanu will be able to get himself up towards safety as well. Snow Avalanche ever so slightly ahead in this game, but Rising Lotus still have an opportunity to get back into it.
Yeah, they do. And one thing I think I would like to see Rising Lotus do is they're placing a lot of emphasis on the lane. We're seeing all three members sitting in the lane, and that's not a good place for Rising Lotus to fight. You know, if you pull it into the jungle, you have the Sky has a little more freedom to use her series check and get into position, and you've also got the Arcane Passage as well. Right now, if they get any advantage on the Snow Avalanche, what we're seeing is they're just retreating, and they're retreating very well. And like you said, they are really good at their re-engagements, and right now Rising Lotus aren't so good with them. If they take it into the jungle, that's a much better place for them to fight, and they are doing a very good job in poking that turret down. That turret is about less than third health, maybe a quarter health right now. Well, you're not going to get stunned. Oh, so close.
Keanu takes so much from Voldemort though. A couple of glimmers takes him down to basically no HP. Kentisik just needs to land one more Malice, one more Verdict. The verdict is guilty, and he gets taken down. Just Man gets connected with the one shot, one kill as well. Snow Avalanche once again pick up a kill for themselves and just back away from the fight.
Well, I think that's the lead that Rising Lotus needed. They're going to get the gold mine. And Waldemar, I think they're not going to get the turret out of this one, but that's certainly going to give them an extra gold lead right now, because that gold mine has... I think this is the first gold mine of the game, am I correct?
I believe it is. They will take it down. Mr. K Cool takes a lot of pain as well. Will be able to roll his way across towards safety. I never like saying a game is over, especially when there's opportunities for a team to get back in, but you heard it on the analyst desk, you heard it from us earlier on. As soon as Snow Avalanche got towards this sort of later portion of the game, they just have too much for Rising Lotus to deal with, and it's going to take incredible outplays from Rising Lotus to win out this game now.
Yeah, and the thing is, maybe even I think I'm just making the same noises as you, like, like a sighs and like just trying to think about, like, oh, how are they going to make this back? And I think exactly the point. I mean, you've got this. I think they need more dive, and the Lance is really good for the dive, but maybe a really aggressive Arcane Passage. So far, we're not seeing them very aggressively. They're being done very defensively, actually, and maybe an aggressive one right on to Kentisik or Waldemar. But even still, I don't think that's still going to work, just because they want to be fighting at close range. Mr. Keiko, you're going to get caught.
That he is. Oblivion comes out. Mr. Keiko trying to bust a hasty retreat away from the fight. We'll be able to survive for now. Voldemar goes into the active camo. Mr. Keiko just survives though, and Voldemar gets taken down. So Avalanche not able to capitalize on their item spikes and their advantage in this game to pick up the kill.
Well, Rising Lotus, they've taken down one member. They've taken down Waldemar, but still. Oh, Bastion, you're gonna go down! Or not.
No, he's not, man. Bastion's a survivor. He's not going to give up. He'll just keep on surviving. Bastion yet to die in this game, as well as Kentasik. You know, Voldemar a little bit of a feeder here for Snow Avalanche. The only member to die.
Have only been 4 deaths. The whole game.
Yes, but still.
I guess it counts as feeding.
If this was a solo queue game, I would be spanning question mark pings on him already, you know?
Would you have the appeal at this point? Oh, Waldemar, you're
Impale
so
once again onto Voldemar. Githyan Wall will come out as well to knock him back. It's a very dead Voldemar. Rising Lotus pick up their second kill, and now he's died twice. More double question mark, boys. Get it out. Bastion's going to try and get onto Keanu. Imperial Sigil comes out. There's the forward barrage. Death from above is going to connect onto Bastion, but Kentasik is so aggressively positioned here. Has the Drifting Dark, has the Malice and Verdict, has the swift retreat away from the fight. Oblivion doesn't quite connect. Snow Avalanche not able to get anything out of the counter engage.
Well, Bastion's doing a really good job of avoiding all the damage coming up from Keanu. Oh, that's a stun that's going to be blocked. But they've managed to force all 3 members of Rising Low, Keanu down to very, very low. And that's a really good start, because he is the main damage dealer. He's being forced to back away now.
Now Avalanche haven't used the advantage that we thought they'd use. You know, well, I keep saying it. I keep thinking that they have the superior portion of the game now. It actually looks like it's going to be a clockwork next for Kentasik as well. So huge amount of damage down in these fights if he can position it correctly. The problem for Snow Avalanche is Bastion is their main front line, and if he's diving on one member, the rest of Rising Lotus do have the opportunity to try and get on towards that backline. Bastion takes a lot of damage from the forward barrage. Oblivion's not going to connect, and Rising Lotus look for the re-engage. Impale misses for Mr. K. Cool, just off towards the side. Rising Lotus can't get anything out of it. Waldemar, holy moly, doesn't really have any shield. Now he picks up a kinetic shield for himself. He needs an Aegis soon. Otherwise, that sky is going to get pretty darn disgusting in towards him. Kentasik backing away from the Drifting Dark. 1 shot, 1 kill. Mr. K-Cool jumps onto him, and the lance to the face. It's a stab from Mr. K-Cool. They're looking for the second kill on towards Bastion as well. He will go down. Kentasik, the last man standing for Snow Avalanche. Impale has been used. Keanu looking for the kill. Jumps across with the Suri Strike. It's an ace for Rising Lotus, and they clean up Snow Avalanche.
That was such a sloppy engage. So sloppy from Snow Avalanche there. Like, where was the flare from Bastion going into that? They kind of just walked into it, and then we saw Snow Avalanche separate. Like, this is actually a very good example of Rising Lotus being kind of very reactionary, I guess. Just taking advantage of their mistakes, because they really turned that around. And just 2 minutes ago, we were saying Rising Lotus, there's very little hope now. But they turned that around, and I think that's just because Snow Avalanche, they made those mistakes. And that they really got punished for that, because they got separated, they got a lot of poke damage down, and also just the damage coming in from Keanu was absolutely insane there, like 5 broken mid stacks, and Moldemar's just picked up that Aegis, so maybe should have had that a little bit earlier, as we said, right before that fight broke out, but this could... I feel like Snow Avalanche kind of just threw away their lead there.
They definitely did, and they're now 2,000 gold behind. They've got a Kraken pushing in on towards them. Death from Above's going to come down as well to split up the team. Rising Lotus have played this later portion of this game incredibly well. They still have the Kraken to go in. Keanu has 3 completed items, crystal power on this Sky. The Aegis as well sitting in his inventory just to try and block out Bastion, who comes in with the Merciless Pursuit. There's the forward barrage in response. Rising Lotus looking for the turret, but 1 shot, 1 kill will take down the Kraken. Rising Lotus not able to get exactly what they wanted off that push.
Well, they are about 2k behind in gold, and they've lost 2 of their turrets. After that one fight, everything just turned around completely for them. And, you know, I would still argue Snow Avalanche, they have the stronger comp, and as long as they play the comps, play those team fights the way they are supposed to be played, stick together as a team, they could definitely still come out on top there and just not make those mistakes as, like that last game, which was just slightly disappointing, to be honest. But I think Bastion, a little bit more cooldown would do a lot at this stage, just because just getting right into their faces, having that silence up a little bit more often is going to be such a key, you know, it's going to be so key, because all 3 of the heroes on the Rising Lotus, they're very skill dependent, and if you can block them and force that Crucible out, then you can definitely just do a lot there.
I think a big thing is about, as you say, it's all skill dependent. It's all about hitting those shots. It's all about hitting that initial impale as well. Just Man hasn't really seemed to be the sort of Lyra, who jumps in with the Arcane Passage and just goes Arcane Passage into Bright Bulwark to allow Mr. K-Cool to get the engages. It's been more about him peeling back a great route onto Voldemar once again, but Keanu did absolutely nothing in that fight. Didn't even get auto attacks down. If he'd gone and tried to get a Frostburn or any sort of damage down on towards Kentisik or Voldemar, you have to feel that Snow Avalanche would have lost out that fight. Frostburn, as I said, has been completed on Keanu, so they are looking for something here. Rising Lotus going to use the Imperials to just get themselves in. All three walk straight into a Blast Tremor, though, and now Just Man, the target Merciless Pursuit comes in. There's the Impale onto Kentisik. Right, Bulwark used as well. Death from above on Kentisik gets him so low. Bastion will be the first to fall, but Snow Avalanche might be able to clean this one up. They've got both their carries left alive. Voldemar's going to chase in towards Keanu, and Just Man Keanu, the first target for them. A forward barrage is huge, but it's not enough. And Kentisik and Voldemar survive. Mr. K-Cool will get himself out alive as well, but Snow Avalanche managed to win out the fight 2-1.
Definitely a good fight there for Snow Avalanche, but I think there were times when you were looking at it like, oh, Snow Avalanche, they're not going to win this because Bastion, he is going down so fast, and I think this is the problem with Catherine, is that she still definitely has a place in the meta, but she really suffers due to energy problems just because she uses the silence, maybe uses the Stormguard once or twice in a stun, and then she's out of energy, and this is only like the start of the team fight. I think cooldown definitely helps a lot with the whole situation, but that's an ace!
That is an ace, absolutely melted away there. Mr. K-Cool not respecting the damage that comes out from Kentisik and Voldemar. They'll be able to get the turret here as well. 2 members of Rising Lotus are back up, so the Kraken is a very risky endeavor here for Avalanche if they decide to go for it. They'll probably just decide to take away these camps. Voldemar might get caught out, though, snared in with the Bright Bulwark. Here comes the Oblivion. Keanu able to dodge it around, so he strikes back towards the backside. Voldemar will be the first to fall, and now Bastion's coming in. Are they going to try and re-engage? Death from above onto Bastion, hits Kentisik off towards the backside as well. Just Man can go for the fight. Rising Lotus able to chase down onto Snow Avalanche here. The Fountain will keep Bastion alive for quite a long time. Keanu does get the forward barrage down. Kentisik might be able to escape here. Just Man looking for the chase, but not going to go too far for this one. They will be able to back away, but only 1 member of Snow Avalanche left alive, and the Kraken is on the Halcyon Fold.
I think Voldemar just going for those backs taking a little bit longer than necessary. I think just a little bit, just silly to be honest, coming out from him, because he really, the bulwark slammed down right on top of him, and he tried to use his act to calm, but by that point it was too late. And I think this is kind of the joy of Skye, is that she's so good at mobility, using the mobility to skirt around any Oblivion that Kentisik throws down and avoids it. And I think at that point, Snow Avalanche kind of just walking in, losing 1 member, and they're kind of just feeding their members in to try and die. So fortunately, 1 member, Kentisik, was able to escape, but that's the second Kraken going for Rising Lotus. And this should have been an easy win for Snow Avalanche based on the comps and based on the way that Rising Lotus were playing at the start. But unfortunately, due to mistakes that they've made in these team fights, they have lost that, and they may be identical in terms of gold, almost identical. They have to be careful now because the next fight could determine who's going to win this series.
Quite possibly. I feel that with the Kraken pushing in, Rising Lotus definitely have the superior position for this next fight, but Snow Avalanche do still have that Samuel. They still have the Kestrel as well. Kentisik gets caught up in a Death from Above once again. The Oblivion is going to connect onto Keanu, but with the Kraken there, Snow Avalanche don't really want to push out too far. Kraken down to half HP. Kentisik doing a huge amount of work, but running out of energy very quickly. Keanu gets melted away, though. Snow Avalanche not able to chase them down because Just Man able to put that Bright Bulwark down in time. The Kraken will fall once again, and Snow Avalanche just want to keep this game going a little bit longer.
Oh, they love it. One thing I was just noticing is I don't like how Kentisik's overdriven the Drifting Dark, and I know it does give a little more damage, it gives a little more cooldown, but unfortunately it also drastically increases the move speed of the Drifting Dark, and you can see in that fight there, it's before this kind of an early to mid game, they were able to keep the members of Rising Lotus in the Drifting Dark very, very well, but because of the speed of it now, it's the efficacy of it is just beginning to fall off a lot just because of the extra move speed. They're not keeping the members of Rising Lotus in it anymore. They did manage to push in that Kraken before it took down any more turrets, so which is good, still in the game.
Still in the game, indeed. The game still going on at the moment. Like, 25-minute games seems to be just like a Europe speciality. It just seems like you don't see this that much in NA. NA tends to have, a bit more action, a little bit more fighting in the early game, and you get done by 20 minutes and, everyone goes home. But Europe's just like, no, best of threes, everyone. 25 to 30-minute games. Let's truly show these guys how many times we can face check a bush and still survive. This is a bad bush to face check. No, Avalanche will spot that there's a scout trap there. It will be spotted out. They're going to clear out some more traps here coming out from Rising Lotus. Kraken not back on the Halcyon Fold for the 4th time yet? 3rd time?
I mean,
I
100,
think it's third
200 goal difference between the two teams right now, and this could be the engage. Or is
Restless
it?
Pursuit used on Just Man. Pops the fight bulwark down. 1 shot, 1 kill will connect on towards that Lyra as well. Kentasik decides he wants to chuck a Malice and Verdict behind him. There were some scary, scary trees in that bush right there. Death from Above's going to come down. Oblivion. Rising Lotus back away from it. Not able to engage on that Death from Above.
I feel like Bastion shouldn't be using that Warhorn to engage aggressively at the start of teamfights as you did just then, because what's happening when every single time he's done it is that Keanu just puts on this forward barrage, pokes him down to half health, and then they have to retreat again. But this is
It's a great Blast Tremor flank. Keanu's going to get melted away. Mr. K. Cool has basically no HP as he runs down towards the bottom side. Kentasik channels his inner Darth Sidious and just lightnings his face off. And now Just Man, the last man standing for Rising Lotus. I think not Darth Sidious, it's like Emperor Palpatine or someone, the guy with the lightning. The bad guy in Star Wars, boys. That's going for there. Just Man's going to take some damage here from Voldemort. Kentasik. Can he hold out in a 1v3? Oblivion comes down. There's a big minion wave pushing in, but will get cleared out with the Imperial Sigil. Bastion now going to try and tank up the towers. Kentasik there as well. Right, Bulwark used to stop Bastion going any more aggressive, and still Snow Avalanche unable to clean up the game. The Kraken's back on the cards, but Rising Lotus now will have 3 members up in just 5 seconds time.
I feel like they should have just gone for 1 tower there instead of going for 2 at the same time, because that was why they were struggling so much to take that one down. And now that they've taken it down, they spent so much time doing it that actually all 3 members are now out. I don't know if they can take that Kraken down in time. I think they can.
It's gonna go. There we are.
Phew.
Second Kraken for Snow Avalanche.
4th Kraken overall?
4th, isn't it?
It's the 4th Kraken overall.
Yeah, 4th Kraken overall, 2nd Kraken for Snow Avalanche.
Yeah.
And I say it, jocularly, but you have to feel that this needs to step up. I'm a European caster, I'm from England. I want Europe to do well. If Snow Avalanche are going to Worlds, if they play like this at Worlds, they're going to get destroyed. Keanu's going to get melted off towards the side. Rising Lotus on the back foot once again. There is the 1 shot, 1 kill. It's going to connect onto Mr. K. Cool, but they will just back away. Bastion steps forward. There's the forward barrage. Going to go straight into Bastion's face. Before he gets the Blast Tremor down, he is dead. There's the fountain as well. Voldemort has fallen, and a Snow Avalanche might be the team to lose out this fight. Keanu's going to take away the healer to try and get himself some health, but Kentasik can take this 1v1. Malice and Verdict in the wrong direction, and Keanu will pick up the kill. He gets the ace, but the Kraken is pushing in. It's only 2 shots away from taking down this turret. Keanu's going to see if he can take it out before it takes out his crystal. Death from Above. No, that's not how you wanted to place it. Don't put it in a line. Put it all on the Kraken's feet. Keanu might actually not be able to do this. Rising Lotus might lose to a Kraken. It's down to half HP. It's only about 5 shots away from taking it down at the crystal. 17 seconds on Mr. K. Cool. It's all up to Keanu. Another Death from Above comes down. He's crystal infused. He's full items. There's nothing more he could do here. Forward barrage once again. He's not going to do it. The Kraken's going to take down the crystal. God. And what a farcical end to a back and forth game here between Rising Lotus and Snow Avalanche. The reigning champs of Europe do win it. 11-11, only 1,000 gold difference at the end, but I have to say, I'm not sure how deserved that win was.
That was quite the amusing end to the game. I think the fact was, this should have been an easy win for Snow Avalanche. It should not have dragged out to 28 minutes, and the score should not